Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday, powered by KSL Sports. Kyle Ireland, Mitch Harper. We are live from Tucson, Arizona, as we are a few short hours away from kickoff between the Cougs and the Wildcats. Mitch, I like these availability reports that come out for injury because you're able to find out a little bit more about the team, a little more transparency going into game day. It's nice to be able to have these as a fan to look and see, these are the guys that are definitely out. These are the guys that, may or may not play. But big news yesterday as we saw BYU linebacker Jack Kelly, his improvement on this availability report.
Yeah, Jack Kelly, who got banged up in the game against West Virginia, he was listed this week as doubtful. And as you heard from Justin Enna just moments ago here on the show, he practiced this week, but he was always listed as doubtful. Well, last night, in the Friday update on the availability report, he got promoted to questionable. Now, questionable by Big 12 guidelines would still indicate a 50-50 chance of playing. So 50% chance that he actually plays. So we're really not going to know officially until 90 minutes before kickoff if Jack Kelly gives it a go or not. But I think it's noteworthy that that injury is maybe not as severe to the point where you'd think he's got a chance to actually give it a go today. I think the thing you got to look at, though, is just you've got so many more battles ahead in the Big 12, Kyle. And if you have another setback to that injury, does that limit him against Utah next week? Can BYU get by without Jack Kelly? I think they could. I think Ace Kafusi is an excellent player. He was the first guy off the bench in replace of Jack Kelly last week against West Virginia. The issue is that Jack Kelly, just everything funnels through him. This pass rush, even Kelly Papinga last week told me, he wasn't worried about the defensive ends not getting sacks, and even Kelly Papinga's noted sacks are overrated, that he said this week, which I think if you're getting interceptions and you're generating havoc in other ways, I agree with that. But Jack Kelly is the team's leader in sacks, and he's the best pass rusher on this team. And against an Arizona squad that's tied for last in the Big 12 in sacks allowed, this is a game that poses an opportunity maybe to generate some more heat and some sacks in this game. So tough situation, but it's promising that maybe this isn't as severe as initially thought in the moment against West Virginia. But he's a questionable status heading into tonight's game, which, of course, kicks off at 6 p.m. Utah time, 5 o'clock here in Tucson. Players that are out for the Cougars, Kyle. JoJo Phillips, he remains out. Sione Moa, running back for the Cougars. I asked Aaron Roderick earlier this week, what's the timeline on those guys? He did not paint a great picture, saying it's going to be some time for those players. Also, cornerback Marcus McKenzie. He was the guy that I believe gave up that touchdown late against West Virginia. I'd have to go double-check on that again. But he's also been a special teams gunner, ace in the hole there. Linebacker Che Bryant Strother remains out. And then defensive tackle Anisi Purcell, kind of an underrated player being out, is he's a top 4 rotational guy in the interior along the defensive line. That potentially opens up the door for Kafusi Pafoke, Weber State transfer, to come in and maybe be that 4th defensive tackle for the Cougars.
Yeah, I think that, you look at the initial report that came out earlier this week, Mitch, it's nice to see some of the guys that were on the initial report no longer having their names listed as well. You've got Jonathan Cabea, he was listed as probable, now no longer on the report. Isaiah Glasker, Miles Hall, Siale Serra. Even if you don't have Jack Kelly, to be able to have those other linebackers be able to be healthy and not on this report, that bodes well for BYU in this game, because you mentioned about the upcoming games for BYU. If you don't need Jack today, if you can get by without Jack today, I guess I should say, to be able to have those other guys step up would be big. But Jack, you think about it, his impact is so massive. Just his ability to be a spy on the quarterback has been so beneficial for BYU this season. But, you look at Arizona, their long list of guys that are out for this game. Both of these teams, it's showing the attrition that this season has had so far. Only a few games into Big 12 play, but it's only going to get harder and tougher for these teams.
The notable names on Arizona's report, many of the players, I was looking into the numbers on these guys, some haven't even played in games this season, but defensive lineman Trey Smith, He's their starting edge rusher. He's out. So that's of note there. And then offensive lineman Jordan Brown, a rotational interior offensive lineman. He's out. And then they also had a tight end in Kean Burnett, who left the team and is going to redshirt this year and basically book it to the portal when that thing opens up in January. But he's no longer with the team. Reportedly, he's out on this availability report. So Arizona, bangs and bruises as well, just like BYU too. It happens, as you said, with the attrition happens in college football. It's a long season. It's a physical, violent football game. But it is nice to see these coaches just embracing this availability report, because it just, at the end of the day, like, we've seen 5 games of BYU. We know what Jack Kelly means to this team. If anything, now Arizona's got to wonder, what are they going to do? Like, if anything, now that it's clear, questionable Jack Kelly, 50-50 proposition, but now Arizona has to kind of do this little mind games of, like, what do we know about Ace Kafusi? Does Jack Kelly play? How do we attack? Because Noah Fafita for Arizona, the quarterback, he's, I think, the best quarterback BYU will face to date this season. He's a capable runner. He's much improved in that space. 3 touchdown runs this year, but still he wants to air it out. That's his strength. He has become more of a complete quarterback this year, but still I think he wants to drop back and pass, whereas BYU is willing to run Bear Bachmeier quite a bit. Feet, I don't think Arizona is willing to run him 15, 20 times like BYU is. So what does Arizona do when maybe Jack Kelly's in or he's out? Who knows? But this questionable status, I think it's good for the fans. It's good for the Big 12. It's good for college football to just have what would be transparency more so, because transparency is always good. Having the honest, truthfulness, truth come out, it'll set you free, in the words of Coach Prime. So I think it's a good thing, and lets fans know who's in and who's out, because the last thing you want to deal with is, moments before kickoff, he's gone. You're like, I spent all this money. Like, I want to see this guy in action. This changes the entire outlook of the game. So I enjoy these player availability reports.
Yeah, I think another guy that you mentioned, Sione Moa being out, and the outlook on that, Enoch Nawahine listed as probable on this report. Earlier this week, the depth chart came out, and Preston Rex was elevated to the backup role there. It's just nice to be able to see, having the health of the running back position, because BYU, after LJ, there's some question marks there. So I think that'll be a nice thing for BYU to have Enoch back as well. But we're going to take a quick timeout. On the other side, we're going to get to know the foe with Arizona. We're going to get to an interview Mitch did with Justin Spears of the Tucson Star and ESPN Arizona. You're listening to Cougar Sports Saturday, powered by KSL Sports.